Arista Records, Paul. So I wanted to mention that, and I'm very thankful that I met Skeeter, and I haven't met Paul in person yet, but they did write out a contract for me to review. It's a major label artist contract. They call it a 360 contract. You can research it. There's so much to know about it. There's an advance, and it's like a $60,000 advance, which gets exciting but scary and confusing all at the same time. And
But you want a good lawyer to read the contract.
Thank you.
Read the fine line.
And it's kind of a bittersweet area for me because it's a big decision that changes your life as an artist and a musician. And basically, when you submit to a major label, as we know, you're part of the mold at that point. So I've been really questioning myself and really digging deep to see if it was what I really want to do.
You can retain your artist rights on the songs.
Yes.
Mostly.
So here I've got Arista reviewing my music, which they want to see a little bit more of the lighter side of what I've done. I'm mixing a little more rock with a little more country, a little bit of rockabilly. That's kind of what Nashville is kind of hoping for. So on the other side, I got very lucky and met a gentleman with Warner Brothers, and I've been collaborating with Warner Brothers, and that's a whole different style. That's more like a rock, gothic, like post-punk type sound. And
you're talking like music background for movies?
It's the style. This is for movie backgrounds.
Oh,
and,
cool.
And apparently he's been working with Warner Brothers for 25 years, and we've signed 3 publishing deals now together. That's been exciting, and so just wait and see what happens next, you know. And
cool.
We have a good rapport with each other right now. So I got Paul with Arista over in Nashville, and now I got Matt with Warner Brothers down in LA, Hollywood. Really lucky to be in between these two entities, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm taking my time. I haven't signed anything yet. Part of the hard part is I love my guys, my band. I want my bandmates. I want my bandmates to be a part of everything. That's
not
the struggle.
Just studio musicians. You want your
It's
bandmates.
been so hard. And
that's what got you there, you know?
Yeah. See, so
bandmates.
credit to that, and I really miss doing that part of it. I want to do more of that again, and I hope to get back to that. But Warner Brothers has been really a treat, and I'm excited. They did buy one of my songs outright recently.
Awesome.
A full original that I wrote. I call it Venomous, and it could be coming up on a production here pretty soon. We finished a song that was apparently supposed to be for something to do with Black Widow, which has been kind of brewing, and it's a song that I titled Creeper, and we can hook up links so you guys can actually review that song.
Okay.
And that's one of the publishing deals I signed with those guys. So
cool. Is there a place where the fans can come and hear you?
Yeah, actually, if you go to
SoundCloud or
I'd like you to sign on to my artist page if that would be cool. I'd like to see Nariah Stonehart, or you can find me just through Stonehart. Yeah, on Facebook. That would be a good start, and then we'll keep on posting links and videos.
I'll have a link on my page too as well. So, since you've been involved.
H-A-R-T.
Yes, H-A-R-T. Thank you. Yeah, yep. A lot of people spell it H-E-R-T.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah, Nariah has a silent H on it. N-E-R-I-A.
Nariah Stonehart. So, since you've been involved with Columbia and the music industry for many, many years, what advice do you have for up-and-coming musicians and
thanks
new
for asking.
bands, you know?
I always feel like I want to give back. If I retain any knowledge that I think works for me, I want to share it with my peers, my friends, my family, particularly youngsters who are really adamant about doing stuff. There's so much talent. It's just incredible.
It's on my mind too.
And so I've been very fortunate to be invited to help out a couple groups like Kids Rock and a couple other local ones.
Oh, that's awesome. I've always wanted to do that too.
My girlfriend's daughter is a very talented singer, JD.
Cool.
She's
Cool,
awesome.
JD.
And hopefully we'll get an interview with her someday. But we've been supporting her all throughout with it. As soon as we heard her voice, we knew that she had a gift, and it was like, let's buy her a ukulele, and she went and learned it herself.
Wow.
So she's already been taking on paying gigs. We've been hooking her up, and she's
maybe we can get her out here, and you guys do it too.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
We'll see. Maybe Mama could work on that one.
Right on. So, what advice do you have for the young
That's a good
kids
question.
coming up?
There's a lot to say about that, and I like sharing the knowledge and the the talent is already there. If someone has the gift, and there's a lot to it. the desire to do it. There's a certain amount of drive that you have. There's some focus. There's a lot of things that it takes to really make it come together, right? So starting with the talent and the desire,
Chemistry.
the chemistry, the things that are built within each person,
Right.
and the art side of it. So I would say, you know, the advice that I would have to younger people that are doing the same thing that we've done would be that never give up on your dreams. We all need to know that, no matter how hard it gets, because I've heard a lot of people say, you know, maybe it's just not for me, and this is after years of performing and playing and all that. You second guess yourself a lot. You question yourself. You know, it's hard to see yourself as yourself. You can't get outside of yourself to visualize yourself enough to know
Right.
what you could or need to do. But I'd say give it the chance to grow and bloom and blossom and develop that art. Share it when you can. Don't hold it back too much. People put things on the shelf forever. I've done it. I've got hundreds of songs that I've never shared.
A lot of artists do, you know.
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff out there on tap that would be incredible to open
Dave
up those
Grohl, I
vaults.
saw an interview with him saying, you know, he's got thousands of songs on the shelf and 98% of them suck.
All right, yeah. See, that's how I feel.
And just
It's
a
not
few
for us
of
to
them-
judge them, but
Yeah,
right, we
a
can't.
few of them, you know, that's all you need is like one or two
To
hits
take off,
and
yes.
take off.
So there's a little
Change the
advice.
world.
At the same time, be open to other artists. That's a very good part of this, is to really realize that you're working together and we're all in the same place. It's not a battle of the bands. And I always
Right.
see America, we turn everything into a sport or like some kind of an opposition challenge where someone's got something better than the other person, and it's going to be like that forever.
It's cutthroat.
And so we got like
This
sports,
industry.
you know, sports, racing, even in food industry, there's competition, right? It's just who we are.
Yeah.
And so music has a competitive side, but at the same time, it's about the art first, and it's about sharing who you are and not being afraid to, you know, put that out there, because it's all within you.
That's
you know?
great advice.
And not only
awesome
that, but
advice.
we all have our own language, and to remember that, you know, some people may not get it the same way you do, but there's someone out there listening, and it's going to happen for everybody. You know, just give it that chance. So
Yeah.
I want to help where I can. So yeah, keep me in
Cool.
mind as some kind of friend here.
And what I'm really interested about, tell me about setting the music. I went up on YouTube and listened to Jabberwocky
Oh yeah, my most
and
recent.
The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe and the music that you did behind it. God, please elaborate on
All right,
that.
all
Where'd
right.
you get the idea?
Cool,
for
thank you.
this?
All right,
That's
cool.
so
This
cool.
is fun. This is fun because this is all brand new to me. This is kind of what I've been doing during the quarantine.
It's up on YouTube. It's, under Jabberwocky, under Stoneheart, and The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, so let's start with the Raven. We'll look at that because it was pre-Jabberwocky.
Okay.
The Jabberwocky I just finished like last week, but the Raven was within the last month or so. I've just kind of got it to where I thought was okay to release.
Sounded killer.
All right,
Sounded
thank you.
killer to me.
It was a really interesting inspiration. So what happened was when the quarantine hit, I realized I had the same choices that a lot of my peers did. Was should we get together and be on different screens, all and collaborate at the same time and play live? From
Like they
our own
do
phones?
down in LA.
That's
the
great.
studio.
It's incredible you can do that, and I'm excited.
That's-
I would like to try it, but in the meantime, I haven't been able to set that up yet. But I've been doing my own thing. Like, how can I get projects done now that I've got time? You know, which ones need to be finished?
Yeah.
So I finished a few, and then I started a couple new ones. Well, I took a couple songs that were old remakes that weren't very common, but I started with one called In My Room, and it was written by a band called Yaz. And I felt like it was representative of what we're going through right now, based on our isolation. So in my room basically meant like in my head or in my soul or in my own space, so to speak. And so that was a fun project. It was my first green screen project.
I
And
see that
I
one.
simulated
That's
a
cool.
room, and things were going on in the room and outside the room that represented like the virus and being isolated. So that was fun. But I was like, after that, what should I do? I wanted to try something a little different, and I guess I could start with the fact that Jessica's daughter JD had a poetry reading, and she was getting used to actually standing up and reading poems. Well, I asked her if she'd ever read The Raven.
Uh-huh.
I said, hey, have you ever read The Raven out loud? And so we got her to do it one day, and it was great. And, you know, and it dawned on me, I was like, God, that's got such a great rhythm to it that it would be so much fun to break that down verse by verse and put it into a music format. And, you know, I know that there's a lot of interpretations of it. So it's like, in the past, there's probably been several versions that have been released. I think Alan Parsons has a really good version of the song "The Raven." It's incredible. It's a broken down version of that same story. The way I was looking at this one was, how can I take 18 verses and put them into one song without it getting too drawn out?
Yeah.
And so, you know, Jessie had some good advice. She's like, yeah, well, you know, maybe each verse should be a little different. And I was like, you know, you could do something a little different on each verse to make it progressive.
Mm-hmm.
So I did go in and I tried different overtones over the whole basis that was already there that I had developed, that I crammed into 10 minutes worth of time. I think it's like an 11-minute song.
Yeah, it is.
I tried to cut the fat everywhere I could to cram it in, because it was like, well, you got Edgar Allan Poe, the master of these lyrics, and it tells such a deep, haunting story. To me, it really represented what we're going through right now, because the loss of his wife, being isolated, the raven representing the virus. There were so many things that I thought could make sense, and we could try this. So I grabbed the guitar, and I started kind of noodling around, and I think, if you don't mind, I'll show you where I started with it.
Okay.
And basically, for some reason, I was hearing a couple chords, and it was it started out like. I heard the rhythm already, right? So then I was like, you know, once upon midnight dreary, and it all started making sense, and I was like, I gotta try this. So I disappeared in the studio for a while, gave it my best shot, and I think I stayed in the studio for almost 2 weeks until I felt like it was good enough to.
Did you eat or have any food or anything?
You know, Jessie brought me some snacks. Thank you, Jess. And it was a little rusty by the time I came out of there with my beard, but you know, it was such a awesome opportunity to be able to break that down. And then I realized that the lyrics were public domain, so I was okay to use them.
Right.
But I can still copyright the music part of it, which was really great. So I finally did get it released. It's actually on iTunes. I made a video for it. Jessie helped me. Her daughter helped.
This is, where can they see this?
You can see this online. Yeah, if you go to Nariah Stone Hart on YouTube, you can find The Raven. If you haven't seen it yet, or check it out.
I highly recommend this.
All right, it was a lot of fun. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. I got to say that in the least, and putting the video together, I had to clip a bunch of old pictures that were used to represent The Raven, and just enough to get it up.
The process of it, because the closest I ever gotten to anything like that was playing in an orchestra pit for Legally Blonde in Olympia. And trying to synchronize everybody to the play that's going on.
I got to see that.
Wow. I can understand the process you went through to
Okay, we can empathize on that.
Yeah, I can.
So that was a lot
I can
of work.
see why you stayed in the studio for 2 weeks.
It was a challenge. It really was to put the timing and everything in there. But I got it done, and now I can say, hopefully I'll be able to play it live someday. And how do you remember that many words? I had to figure out how to pronounce some of those words.
You put it on a monitor, you know. Like old people do.
So that was kind of an isolation thing, but you know, I had to get it out.
That's awesome.
Thank you. That's The Raven. But then I was like, how am I going to top that? Or what could I do that would be in sync with that particular project? So I started thinking about some of my favorite old poems and stuff. And I thought, well, I really like the challenge of setting music to lyrics, or lyrics to music. And I love to be on both sides of it. Like, we could do it right now. I love, like, if someone gave me 5 words right now, I'd love to find a way just to
so cool. I don't have that ability, and
I think you do, Sandra.
I don't
Maybe
know.
we haven't tapped
I've
it
done
yet.
covers for so many years.
Give me a chance. I'd love to sit down with you.
I would
We'll
love
try
to.
it. Okay,
I would love to learn how to write my own music.
We need to do a songwriting course once a month, and we could do it right here.
I'm in.
Okay. And it could be more than that.
Maybe I could learn something. Yeah, because I would love to learn how to write original.
Don, I love this guy. Don, we need to see your face on video there. Come over and say hi when you get a chance. He's always working. This guy, Don, I got to credit Don Malador. Donald Malador helps all the musicians in town.
Yes, he does.
All the venues and bringing everyone
you,
together.
Don.
It's incredible. Hats off, Don. I really appreciate you making this happen, this opportunity right here. And we're all going to have dinner together after this, thanks to my brother Chris and
Thank
Jess
you,
for
Chris.
cooking in there. So
I got a few more questions for you before we wrap this up. What are some of the earliest achievements you've done?
Thanks.
And,
okay.
When did you start performing?
Wow, good questions. Okay, so when I was I started really thinking about music more between the ages of 13 and 14, and I learned how to record my ideas at home by purchasing a drum machine. It was a little Dr. Rhythm, and I took it on the bus with headphones and learned how to program it. I would take it home. I bought a little 4-track, thanks to my buddy Forrest Foster. He's the one that got me all knowledged in that area. And I had my 4-track, I had my little drum machine, I got a bass, I got a guitar, I got a keyboard, I got a microphone, and I just started building from home. And so that was between the ages of 13
Did you have
and
any
14.
teachers to show you how to?
I didn't really.
You did it on your. Are you self-taught?
I basically wanted to, and I did take a few guitar lessons, so I knew a little bit what to do with that, you know. And I went through Guitar Showcase down in Santa Cruz for that.
Cool.
So I did take a few lessons on, thanks to my mom. She's like, "Well, I don't know if you want or need these or whatever, but here they are," and it was a nice gift. And I think it was like 6 months worth or something. So I stayed with it. Yeah, until we got to a point where we agreed that was cool.
That was
felt
your
like
destiny.
And so there was that. I never went to school for recording like you have, so I really had to learn myself starting on 4 tracks.
I only got a couple of semesters in, but it sure helped. And
that's awesome.
It really came in handy because we got to record at Robert Lang's studio.
Yeah, Robert Lang.
I love you, Robert.
Yes.
And Tina.
Yeah.
Tina Lang. She's really cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We met too.
But it helped. So, like you, I would suggest for up and coming kids to take a recording class, take a music class.
Absolutely.
And just run with your ideas, huh?
Yeah, and then there's so much knowledge online. It's so nice to know that you could do the little the courses. You could pay for good courses, or you could just watch the ones that are there that are already incredible too. But yeah.
And what about the music business? A little advice for the up and coming kids about the music business.
Yeah,
How were you approached?
I'd say learn as much as you can about if you want to get your songs in the industry. And the main thing is when you really think about it, if you were to write a song, what's your goal with the song? Do you want to share it with the world? Do you want to shelf it? But if it's a good enough idea that may have a good enough story that might make someone smile or relate to their life, it's suggested to do what you can to get it out there. And I would love to sit down with people who want to know more about this because I've had to learn a lot about it.
I think you should do a workshop.
It would be fun. I would love
the music industry.
You could help me put one together.
We could do that.
All right, cool.
I've always wanted to help the up and coming musicians.
That's a big deal. Yes.
Instead of spending 30 years like we have learning on our own.
With help from others.
With help from others, but
seeking it out is okay.
There's ways of saving you 30 years.
Yeah, there you go.
By having a couple workshops on the music. That's not given around here.
Right.
There's not too many people that's offering that.
But I'll give a really quick breakdown of what happened for me in that area. And I'll try to get it in as few words as possible. As a teenager, when I was writing on my little system, I came up with this little novelty song that I called Making a Monster. And what it represented was building a song, basically, making a monster. It didn't mean something scary or evil, it meant something big, you know. And so I used the metaphor of the monster to represent a song or a book or a story or anything. You're making that, you're doing it, and it's your creation. So I made this song called Making a Monster, and it floated around, and it seemed to be a little family song. Halloween time, particularly, it seemed to be a little thing. And, well, I was about ready to play a show around Halloween. I had a band at the time down in Eugene, and a friend of mine, she was a bass player as well. And so I ended up connecting with her, and I gave her a copy of the song Making a Monster. She wanted to learn the keyboard part on it for my gig, which was really cool. And so she had the tape. Well, my friend, and I shouldn't mention any names right now because I could mention a name, but I just wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to reflect negative.
Right.
But she was a call girl. So that's why maybe I should be careful about.
Got her
names
number
like
on the wall.
Right.
8675.
Right.
309.
But she was just a buddy of mine who was also into music, and she happened to be on a date with a very rich gentleman out of California. Well, they were like at the Hilton, and she spent a couple nights with him while he was in town. It was close to Halloween, so she had my cassette tape with the song Making a Monster on it, and she had her keyboard there, and she was practicing with it. Well, the gentleman that took her on the date, who was loaded, we know why he was loaded. I soon found out that he was part of Geffen, Katz, Spielberg, right when they were building DreamWorks. It was right when this came together. It was my very first moment of connecting with the music industry. So Mark Swain, who worked there at the time, he wrote me a letter. He said, I heard your song Making a Monster, and I'm very interested. And he mentioned Geffen and Katz and Spielberg and seed money and all kinds of things. I'm like, is this really legit? Is it for real?
Fairy tales.
I know, right? So I was a little offish about it, but I did end up researching it, and I found out there was a Mark Swain who worked there with Geffen, and so I looked into it. And so that was my first connection. What I did immediately was went and got a copyright. So I'm telling you, if you're writing your own music, I really suggest, even if you feel like it's not safe, there's reasons to get your copyright, and you have to do it on every original song you write. So that forced me to get my first copyright, because I was afraid these guys, Mark Swain, was going to run off with my song.
Yeah.
And then, make millions, and then what do I get? No, you didn't write that song, and then bully me around. Well, I have proof now, because I wrote a letter saying, hey, and I wrote it to the Library of Congress. He still copyrights music to this day. You can do it online. So you want to go to uspto.gov and then get your copyright documents. It's about
Download
the price
the
has gone up.
Yeah, it used to be $25 back in my days. It's a lot more now.
Right.
Per song.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah.
So copyright your stuff. What it did for me was gave me the ultimate feeling of protecting my art and not realizing that any moment someone else could have it and they could be shopping it somewhere else. It happens.
Do you recommend doing a hard copy of your documents, or because people say, well, if you put your words up on Facebook, it's time-stamped, it's documented.
I get that too. I understand.
Do you think that's legal? That would be
that helps. It really helps, because you have like if you upload. Yeah, it's timestamped. If you upload your song, it's going to be dated. So that's a really good point. It's covered at that point, but there's